How to become a developer at SQI with as low as 25,000 naira. Assumption. Let's assume you score 50% in your scholarship test. So, you could either take the level 1 of the software developer at SQI, and this level makes you an entry-level developer. Or you go further to level 2, which makes you a junior level developer. At this stage, you can develop almost any sort of software, basic software. And at level 3, you become a developer. There you can choose a stack, either the main stack or the sub stack. If you're choosing the main stack, what you learn is the Mongo, Express, React, and Node for backend. So with this, you can develop a complete software. And you could go further and learn the level 4, Next.js, GraphQL, and the likes, and complete it with the level 5, where you study data structures, shared hosting and deployment, algorithms, file transfer protocol, Docker and containerization, introduction to cloud operations, custom domain mailing, and even more. This makes you what we call a software engineer at this point. The difference between a software engineer and a software developer is that both of them can develop a software that works. But due to lack of strong structure, the software of an ordinary developer may not be able to take on large users. For instance, Google software takes on billions of users and it doesn't break. But we have seen a lot of softwares that when it gets to peak period that a lot of people have to use the software, it begins to crash. At that point, such organization needs the knowledge of a software engineer. Now, to learn the complete package at SQI and become a software engineer, it costs you 10 months and 900,000 naira. So, at this point, if you feel the 900,000 is much for you, you can decide to take just to become a software developer, which will cost just about 500,000 naira. If the 500,000 naira is too much for you, you can decide to become a junior level developer, which is enough to give you a junior role in a software company or as a software developer in an organization. And this only costs about 300,000 naira at SQI. Now, if that is still too much, you can decide to take the entry level, become an entry level developer, which costs only 100,000 naira. Now, with our assumption of you scoring 50% in your scholarship test, it means you can become an entry-level developer with as low as 50,000 naira. And if that is still too much, you can decide to opt for a virtual class, which will bring this cost back as low as 25,000 naira. The difference between the virtual and the physical class at SQI is only the physical facility. Both students have access to the same instructor and mentorship, the same resources, the same materials. The only difference is that this fellow will be linking from his home over the internet, while this one will be present physically. So that's how you use just 25,000 naira to become a developer, learning all these courses at SQI. So call your front desk career counselor right now and claim your position to begin your journey and become a software developer. And an additional note, if you start from this level, you can decide to now begin to further step by step in the future until you get to the final level of becoming a software engineer. However, do you know that you can still learn the whole of this thing at a cheaper rate? Instead of 900,000, if you score 50,000 as our assumption in your scholarship test, it means this becomes 450,000 naira. The same 10 months, the same resources, the same material as if you paid the original amount. And if this is still too much, do you know that you can still opt for the virtual class and pay just 225,000 naira? And with this 225,000 naira, do you know that if you are paying once to SQI, you will still have to remove about 15% of this amount? This means you are paying less than 200,000 naira to study a whole software engineering at SQI. And you'll be having the same thing that other students are having as well. Now, if you opt in to become a software developer instead of becoming a software engineer, you can apply your 50% and pay 250,000 to become a software developer. And if that is still too much, you can go ahead and opt in for the virtual campus and pay just 125,000 to become a software developer. And with this, when you're paying once, you will still remove 15% from this amount. So paying a very ridiculous amount for a whole software engineering course at SQI. And if that is still too much, you can apply your 50% to become a junior level developer. And instead of paying 300,000, you pay 150,000 naira. And if that's still too much, you can opt in for a virtual class and pay just 75,000 naira to become a junior level developer. And if that's still too much, you can apply your 50% to an entry level developer. This is junior level developer. This is entry level developer, where you learn level 1 of the program. And with that, since it costs just 100,000, if you apply your 50%, then it becomes 50,000 naira. And if you opt in for virtual class, it becomes 25,000 naira. Thank you.
Study at SQI. Succeed anywhere.